What's up? What's going on? What's up, everybody? Been a few weeks. I was away on vacation. Went to the great state of Colorado, and it was an adventure to say the least. And I'd like to. I actually saved my story for when we bring my guest on here. He's also from the state of Colorado. I've heard people say Colorado and I've heard people say Colorado, but I'm wearing my Steamboat Springs shirt. It was quite an adventure. What I will say is, for anybody that is looking for to have their heart raised quite a bit, go ahead and rent side-by-sides in the rock crawlers in the Rocky Mountains. You'll have a very interesting endeavor. It was quite an adventure. It was actually, it was nerve-wracking. Actually, it was pretty crazy. But I made it back pretty crazy. Our guest today, I will let him introduce himself. His name is Peter Roth. Peter, what's up, man?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Living the dream.
Good.
Living the dream. So what's happening, man?
Well,
what's going on? Tell me about, who are you, Peter?
Well, I was born in Russia, but I've lived in Colorado for the vast majority. I was 2 years old when my family immigrated here straight to Colorado, and I've lived here ever since. So I just kind of consider myself a native. But yeah, you were mentioning that you were just in Steamboat Springs, and I love Steamboat Springs. I mean, that is probably it's in my top three most favorite mountain towns in Colorado. What's so cool about Colorado, if anyone is watching this and if you've never been to Colorado and you've always wanted to go to Colorado, you absolutely need to come to Colorado. But it's such a cool, it's like really one of those places where it's like a vacation home. It's like it's living in a vacation spot because like there's so much to do here. It's so beautiful. You drive an hour in almost any direction and you're in just a stunning, gorgeous place. And Steamboat is absolutely in my top three. In fact, if I were to move somewhere to go live in the mountains, Steamboat would be number one. So that would be my number one because it's like a real town. It's like a real town. So the other places would be like Aspen and Vail, but Vail is just like a little tiny, it's just like a little tourist town. And then Aspen is bigger and better, but it's just ridiculously expensive. So,
well, hold on a second, because we were walking through like the sort of ski lift area. We stayed right in the center in Steamboat, and there were these for sale signs, like real estate signs. Dude, $5 million for a 2,500 square foot condo.
Yeah, that's like an average size place. Yeah, it's great.
$5 million. There was a 1/8 share for $500,000.
Yeah.
And 550. And I was like, that's bonkers. So, for people that aren't familiar with, we're not skiers. We went in the spring. We wanted to see the beauty. It was beautiful. I mean, it's like strikingly beautiful.
Yep.
But for people that don't know, ski towns, I mean, the cost to a place is not, it's like more like you could get a beach house and it's like, I guess people pay more than that for.
It's the equivalent. I mean, it's the equivalent, right? It's the absolute same. It's the equivalent of a beach house. It's the mountain equivalent of it. So, yeah. And Steamboat is up and coming massive. It wasn't like that even just as recently as like probably 5-6 years ago. It became post COVID, right? When people didn't need when everyone went remote, everyone realized, oh my God, you mean I don't have to live in blah 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 city anymore? I can get out and I can go to my favorite, getaway town I've always wanted to live in, or I can go live in Colorado like I've always dreamed of doing my whole life. Like that's a thing now. And so the ultra wealthy just started to pop, flooding these resort towns. And so the big brand name ones just became insanely cost prohibitive. And yeah, now It's to the point where the median home price is absolutely astronomical.
So, and I understand it for people that live in Colorado, like live in, I guess, Denver or, in the major areas. What's up, Jason Walker?
Hey, Jason Walker, what's up, buddy?
I was trying to. I'm like, when we booked it, we're like, oh, we're in the middle. I mean, you're only an hour and a half, 2 hours from the Wyoming border. You're literally. I mean, it's a 3.5 hour drive from Denver to get out there. It's in the middle of nowhere. If you really think about it, look at a map. It's surrounded by absolutely nothing. And it was bonkers to me that there was, I mean, obviously there were people that were there and it was, but once you get outside that area, just, I mean, there's a whole bunch of nothing.
Oh yeah. Yep. And what's crazy, like those homes there, by the way, to make you feel really bad, just in case you wanted to feel really bad about yourself. Number one, most of those homes paid for in cash. And number two, they're totally unoccupied. Like those are most people's second, third, fourth, and they're paid
second
for.
Homes, third homes, second homes. It's bonkers to me that, but yeah, you could see where, like you could see the city and as it sort of how it is. It's still not big. I mean, it's not populated by a whole lot of people, especially not full time, but the river's right down there. It was absolutely beautiful. So funny story. And yes, Jason, Peter's growth has been crazy with solar. We'll cover that. The crazy part about it was we rented. So I was like, let's do an excursion. We're going to go rent side-by-sides, like these rock crawlers, like up in, we're like, okay, it's cool. We called, they're like, sure, you can rent them out. You got to drive about 45 minutes to Kremling, right? Mm-hmm. And Kremling, for those that don't know, if you go on a map right now to Kremling, Colorado, there's quite literally, it's like a 2-stoplight town. Mm-hmm. There's not anything there. There's, I'm sure a lot of drivers go through. And the thing is that it's not on like a major interstate. You're literally driving S-turns on the side. If you don't pay attention on these curves, getting to any of these places, like you're dead. There's no checking your phone. There's no, let me check this text message. You have to pay attention. There's one lane going one way, one lane going the other way, and you're on the side of a mountain. And if you slip, you are gone. I mean, half these towns don't have any guardrails at all. So we rent these side-by-sides and I rented Run. And the idea was to go around the trail for one time, to go around the trail and then come back, pick up 2 of my other kids and go, because we rented one. There's only 4. We had 6 people. So we're on Wolford Mountain Reservation. And for those of you, like, if you want to Google map it, Wolford Mountain is like, I mean, literally, it's gorgeous. It's just in the middle of nowhere. And the trail, I had no idea, but it's 20 miles to get all around the trail, even the shorter parts of the trail. It's like you can't turn around. And there's roads that are, I mean, the roads that you're on, I'm going up like 60. I couldn't believe, and I was so freaked out. I couldn't believe that I was going like basically straight up a hill, a mountain, and dude, I was white knuckling it the whole time. I had 2 kids in the thing with me. I was white knuckling it. I couldn't wait for it to end. I remember stopping a dude. I saw a dude on a pickup truck somewhere out there. Couldn't see the road anymore. Couldn't see. Wolford Reservation was like 6,000 feet below me. Didn't know where the hell I was. And I'm like, I'm following this like GPS trail thing. Thank goodness that was on there. And then people are out there so carefree, like la-di-da. We saw one guy like literally like hanging off of a cliff. It was just nuts. So like gave me nightmares, dude. I mean, it was that profound, but it was kind of a spiritual experience for me, to be honest with you. I had a lot of. Is
it your first time coming to Colorado?
No, I've been to Colorado many, many, many times. Oh, okay. Like I used to work, I helped a roll up for a little while in Colorado Springs. And so I was going out there all the time, but I was never going out on the mountain. I would walk, do the trails, but I never got a side-by-side and went straight up a mountain into a mountain in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. I mean, anyway, so for those of you that love adventure, 10 out of 10. For those of you like, I love adventure, but I was unnerving. It was unnerving.
Well, you certainly don't have to do what you did. There's definitely the cush way of enjoying, which I generally tend to do nowadays as I'm getting older. I don't really do the crazy stuff anymore. I did plenty of that stuff when I was younger, but now I just take a much more laid back approach. I challenged myself. Also went on the gondola, and I didn't like that either. It's just like you're so high in the air. It's like you're in like a box and you're just on a cable, and there's just a cable and you're on a box and you're going up a mountain. It's just nonsense. Anyway, the whole area just got me like all weird. And there's like natural springs in the mountains you got to drive up to and you can go see, and they're beautiful. Did you go to Strawberry Hot Springs?
We did. Strawberry Hot Springs was absolutely.
Did you keep your clothes on?
So we went during the day when it was like the family friendly, but I know that clothes is optional. It closes optional at night. That place was amazing.
Yeah, it's stunning.
I spent the most amount of time in the the river that runs through the mountain there, because it's from snowmelt. I actually went into the cold section. There's like all the hot tubs, and there's the cold section. It's 40 degrees. Yeah. And I literally right in, dude.
Yeah, if anyone who's watching this, and if you're thinking about coming to Colorado, like the Strawberry Hot Springs is an absolute must see. It's right in Steamboat. It's just like a 15-minute drive right outside of the downtown area of Steamboat, and it's this most stunningly beautiful, picturesque postcard scene nestled right into this natural river. And these natural hot springs are in the river, and they've modified it. They've built it out so that it's, better prep for tourism. But, so obviously you're not stepping on rocks the whole time. So there's, sidewalks and stuff like that. But it's just the most stunning thing you've ever seen, because you're literally inside of the river with these built out hot pools inside it, with these hot spring pools inside of the river. And then at night, as the sun goes down, then it becomes clothing optional. So it can get a little weird. I've heard. I've heard too. That, but yeah. So, but it is absolutely one of the most beautiful places.
It is one of the most beautiful places on earth I've ever been. I mean, it's hard to put, but did you know, Peter, that you actually cannot go up there unless you have chains on your tires during the months, like after, I forget the date, but you have to have chains on your tires and all-wheel drive, or else they actually call the police. The police have actually gone up there because cars have gotten stuck. And again, no guardrails. So it's a gravel road all the way up, and you're going up into the mountain, and there's no guardrails. And so like, if there's two cars coming, I mean, you have to like sort of figure out like, okay, who's going on the side that is, almost off the cliff.
I was mentioning to you, so my wife and I are heading, it's our wedding anniversary this weekend, and we're heading up to, we always go to Aspen for our wedding anniversary. It's where we got married. And so we're heading up there in just a few days. And I've been going there for years. And one of my first trips there, I was a little kid. I went with my parents, and we were going up Independence Pass. Independence Pass is the scenic path to get to Aspen. There's two major ways to get there. One is the major highway. Oh, there it is. God damn, man, that place is just absolutely stunning.
It's insane. Yeah. So yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. And so what you should, I don't know if pictures will do Independence Pass justice, because it's a pass, but you may want to try to pull up a picture of that too. But we're driving up there, and Independence Pass, I think, I didn't get a chance to look, but I think it's the highest paved mountain pass in the country, for the world. And not only that, again, no guardrails, and it goes down to a single lane for a pretty long length of the pass, like a couple miles. It goes down to one single lane. When I say lane, I mean like goddamn bike lane, almost like a bike lane. Like, it's comical how it's freaky how skinny it is. And on one side, just sheer drop off, sheer cliff, looking down almost into like a gorge. Like, feels like you're elevated by a good 2,000 feet. So, I mean, on one side, it's just sheer drop off, total drop off. Well, when I was a little kid, we were driving up there, going to Aspen, and we came to a screeching halt. It was like traffic was just at a dead halt, and for like a solid hour and a half, like to the point where people are just parking their cars in park, turning off their engines, getting out, going to the bathroom on the side of the road. Like, it was just total halt. And so we had no idea what's going on. Finally, it starts moving. And as we start moving up, turns out a motorcyclist had crossed over the yellow lines and clipped a truck on the oncoming lane. And the truck had severed his leg, and the guy bled out and died right there. And we saw them taking away the remains as we were driving past. So, welcome to the Everett Lapel Show, everybody.
Dude. So I was on this cliff. So I was in this house, and but anybody, so 10 out of 10 for Strawberry Springs. I would say if it is unnerving, the drive up there is unnerving. You're used to it. You're a kind of a native. You moved to Colorado when you were 2. Yeah. So what happened? You moved to Colorado. Your parents emigrated here, right?
My parents are Russian, Hungarian, Jews, whatever you want to call it. We're from like a weird part of the world where like the borders changed a bunch of times. So
it would be called Ashkenazi, right? Yeah.
We are Ashkenazi Jews. Yep, that is correct. So I'm glad you know that. You're part Jewish, right?
Hey, Liliana, what's going on?
You're part Jewish?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And so, yep. And so my parents, when they immigrated here, came to Rome first, and then to New York, and then straight to Colorado. We guess we had like family living here at the time, with like one relative living here, and we needed an
There's
invitation.
like one Jew living in
Yeah,
Colorado.
seriously.
Yeah,
At the time, yeah. And
yeah.
so you needed an invitation. That was the only way you could get into the US, was through a formal invitation. And so we came straight to Colorado, and I've just lived here ever since. I mean, I went away for college and stuff like that, but I've lived here ever since, and I can't really imagine living.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Syracuse, I went to Budapest University of Economic Sciences, and I went to Oxford University.
You went to Oxford University in the UK.
Mhm.
And you, so that's a very easy school to get into. Every acceptance rate is 100%.
100%.
And so, what did you get? A master's there, the doctorate, or what?
Nope, I was there as a visiting student there. I was there for a year.
Very cool.
Yep.
So you're kind of educated, and you ended up in the blue collar world, man. How did that happen?
Ooh, that's a funny story. So
because you owned an HVAC company.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. You owned an HVAC company. What? So yeah, how did that? How do you end up in the blue collar world?
It's a real funky turn of events. So when I got out of college, I still didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. Like I had no clue what I wanted to do right out of college. What I did know very, very quickly was that I couldn't work for somebody else. I was like the worst employee ever, and I still am. I'm like the least employable person on the planet. I was like that guy where it's like, if I worked in a corporate job and a ream of papers and a box of pens went missing, it was everyone just pointed the finger at me. And so I was that guy. Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, it was you.
And so, so I knew right away, like I was just not cut out for the corporate world. And so I knew wanted to start my own business, because being of, Russian Jewish descent, like that was just such a common thing, but not in like a sophisticated way, not in like, I'm going to sell my company to private equity. Like we didn't even know what those terms meant. Like,
no.
Completely, totally foreign.
All the Russians I knew in Jersey, because I grew up in Jersey. I live in Dallas now, but all the Russians I knew in Jersey, they all owned like tire shops and like, they did like exporting and
small business. Everything was just small business. And it was never because there was some grand exit dream. It was nothing like that. No. It was because they couldn't get jobs.
I don't think anybody that started an HVAC or home services company 20 years ago or whatever thought to themselves, oh yeah, I'm going to be able to, sell my they were probably worried that like when they got to retirement age, how the heck would they retire? They'd have to find another business owner or let somebody inherit the businest that worked
just
in the business.
Kids or just shut the doors.
Or shut the doors.
Just shut the doors. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was, that was just a part of immigrant culture. It was like you just started a business because it's just what you did, because you just weren't really employable. And so you just had to make ends meet somehow, and starting a business just seemed to make the most amount of sense. So that's why so many immigrants are self-employed. It's not because we had these lofty dreams of grand exits one day. It's just because we just couldn't get jobs. And so that rubbed off on me just from my dad. And my dad did all the usual things that a Russian Hungarian Jew would do. Like he owned dry cleaners and was a realtor for a long time. And then he bought a bowling alley. So I grew up in a bowling alley when I was a teenager.
Oh, that's cool.
It was really funny. Yeah, I grew up. I mean, that's where I learned to smoke pot.
Yeah, that's really cool. I would have loved to have grown up in a bowling alley. My dad owned a jewelry supply business, but not jewelry. It was like all the boxes and the bags and the tags and the labels and all that kind of stuff. And like, he started that company, Peter, like in a car. Like he had literally like a hatchback car, and then our garage growing up.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So my story was that when I was right at 24 was when I realized, I got to do my own thing. And so I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I loved cigars at the time. It was just a hobby of mine. That's it. Nothing more than that. And I was like, well, I'm going to start a cigar shop. There's no cigar shops in my area. I live in a nice area. There's no competition. Let me start a cigar shop, a kiosk, literally a kiosk in a mall.
So you were in the middle.
Yes,
in the middle between,
I had like
right?
It was pretty big. It wasn't like a little one. It was one of those where you stood in the middle and it went around. So I had one of those. I did that.
You had a glass case. You have the glass
case.
Yeah,
the glass. Yeah. I did that for like 5 years. That business was like shockingly profitable. Like there was a period there where I couldn't even recreate like the amount of money that I was making from that one little place. It blew my mind how much money I was making at 24 from a freaking kiosk. Like,
no way.
Yeah, it was really surprising. And so I turned that into 3 different kiosks. I built them in multiple malls at that point. And that was doing really well. And then finally just got tired of the kiosk business and realized I wanted to kind of build it up into something better. So then I built like a full cigar bar, like this really, really high end. It was like at the time it was like a jazz club, cigar bar, full bar, high end liquors, everything, exactly what you'd think it would look like. Featured in Cigar Aficionado. You can pull us up on Cigar Aficionado. Cool. We have a whole article written on us. And so I loved that. I did that for 15 years. So for 15 years, I was in that. I got out of it 5 years ago. I still owned that business up until 5 years. I was owning that business concurrently with HVAC.
Really?
So these stories collide.
That's cool.
And so
yeah, you get an HVAC client or something like that. Like you bring your, you bring Carrier.
The story is much more sinister than that. And so I got sued twice from my landlord. So it turns out my neighbor upstairs was going out of business because they couldn't make ends meet. And so they found that the one way to get out of their contract legally was if they could find that their neighbor was creating a nuisance of some sort, that would be terms for a clause for termination. And so they faked their story that my smoke was entering into their space so that they could get out of their lease.
It'd be hard to keep it out of this space, right? Because
it was sealed off. It wasn't getting in there. It was that we had it tested.
I would think that it's smoke. It goes up.
It goes up, but you just seal the spaces. I mean, it wasn't that hard. Just seal off all the nooks and crannies. We did air testing. We had blow air. We had all kinds of air.
And you probably had air filtration systems. And
we had all the fanciest air. And also now you're seeing how this turns into HVAC. Right now you're starting to touch on the points.
Okay, that's cool.
This is how it turned into HVAC. He sued me twice. Both times we won the eviction lawsuit because I could prove that there wasn't smoke. And but he had both times he had to repay my attorney's fees, so that left a really nasty taste in his mouth. But so because of that, I was having to call all these commercial HVAC companies to get them to come out there to try to mitigate what we maybe thought was a smoke, because it took me a while to even figure out that there wasn't an issue. But so like, well, let's just put in some extra filtration. It'll be good for business anyway. Who cares, right? It'll just make the air even cleaner. So it'll be a 2-for-1. That's fine, whatever. So I called all these commercial places and they took one look at me. I'm like, what a chump. This guy knows nothing. And they were just gouging me left and right. They would ripping me off. Like, I mean, they put in like one little tiny little, I don't even remember the size of this exhaust unit. It was like just a small little rooftop exhaust unit with like a 10-foot run underneath it. They billed me $50,000 for it. And I was stupid enough not to know any better, so I wrote the stupid check.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm not particularly proud of that. Yeah. So anyway, that happened to me like twice. So I was out like $100,000 in bullshit that didn't even change anything for me. And that's why I was getting really fed up. I'm like, this not only was it not fixing the problem, because it turns out that wasn't the problem in the first place. They were looking for an excuse to get out of their lease. But on top of that, like just nothing was changing in terms of like the air quality in my own space. Like it really wasn't fixing anything. And so I didn't go onto like Craigslist, but something like that. I don't remember at the time. It was like, maybe it was even Craigslist. I don't know. I found some guy, or no, he worked for one of these commercial companies. He was an employee of one of these commercial companies, and he's the one that came out. We ended up becoming good friends. He starts hanging out at my bar all the time. We became like best friends. And to this day, we're still really good friends. And lo and behold, fast forward a little bit, further out into the future, he asked me, he's like, hey, Peter, he's like, your place is pretty much running itself. Like, do you want to start an HVAC company with me? I'll be the wrench turner. You be the white collar guy. You run the marketing side, the sales side. I'll do what I do. You do what you do. You want to do it? And finally I caved and I said, yes. And so we started this HVAC business together. I knew nothing, obviously, other than getting ripped off. That's how much I knew about HVAC. I barely knew how to operate my own thermostat. So I knew nothing about HVAC. And yet he wants me to run the sales and marketing arm of this thing. And so I had to go learn everything. And so within minutes, I'm on Facebook trying to figure out who I need to meet, so now I'm starting to meet all these, all the names that, we all know together. And, I spent a lot of time, like, God, I mean, Gene Slade and I spent a lot of, I must have gave him a lot of money. And so to this day, I love it. He taught me
on that, but just so you know, there's a lot of controversy. He's a very controversial person, but somebody told me, somebody said that he's like, it's actually by design. He takes up headspace in he gets free headspace in everybody's world. He was actually supposed to come on here a couple of weeks ago, and the schedules like didn't work out. And then I had planned to have him and Joe Crisera do like the Titans, like a Titan,
Yes.
like a battle of the Titans.
The trainers,
it hasn't happened yet, but it's going to happen. It'll be
Gene
interesting.
is a good dude, man. Yes, you're absolutely right. He just likes the controversy for the
Well,
sake of free publicity for him. So why the hell not?
I think yes. I think sometimes he catches a bad rap because it's the delivery, not so much, or sorry, it's the deliverer. And so, but it's funny because if you go on like, are you on, there's a group called HVAC for Life on Facebook. Are you on that group?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, it's bonkers. There's guys that put together, I can't believe they spend the amount of time making these videos of like compilations of Gene in his classrooms. And like they take compilations of him, they put it together, and he has like, I don't know, I think he has a couple pair of like bedazzled jeans that they showcase on here. You got to watch them.
Okay, I have not seen that. No,
there's like 10 of them. There's
I
like
I wouldn't even do that. Why? Because I know the guy, and I know Gene, and he's a good guy.
Oh, I have no doubt. Liliana says, same with me. When I started my HVAC company, I knew nothing about HVAC, and I think that's how it goes. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of legacy owners. Mm-hmm. So you start this company with knowing nothing. You met a bunch of people. You learned.
I needed to learn, so I figured out like who were the top trainers. And I started just kind of giving them my money and picking their brains. And, I would ask questions. I would try to get as much as I could for free. I am Jewish. So try to get a little bit as I could for free. And then the rest I would pay for. Right. And so
did you join any of the business groups, like the practice groups?
Like Facebook, or you mean like
no, like SGI at the time might have been or like Nexstar or anything like that?
Never did any of that. I never did any of that. Nope. I never did any of that. I got what I needed from the Joe Criseras of the world, the Gene Slades of the world, the Vic Rancours of the world. I got everything that I needed from those handful of guys. I mean, they were all incredibly helpful. Every one of them were incredibly helpful people. Yeah. I have nothing but great things to say about all these people. And I send people to them to this day because they were also incredibly helpful to me.
For sure. There's nuggets of information out there, and it's actually now it's more accessible than ever.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can grab, and even if it's somebody you don't even agree with, you can get valuable information from people that you may not necessarily agree with everything they say, but be like, you know what, that was a really good sort of nugget like I grabbed. And then you grab little nuggets and you create a better process.
I was big at systematizing. So I systematized everything, right? I figured I had to create SOPs. I don't like long SOPs, but I like bullet point SOPs. So I needed to learn how to replace myself very, very quickly, right? Like I knew I was going to spearhead that side of the business, but I wasn't going to be in people's homes every single day for the rest of my life. So I needed to get good at what I needed. I needed to get good at the sales. I got good at that really quickly. I needed to create like a presentation. So I did that pretty quickly. And I needed to learn how to train other people to replicate myself. And so that's what I started doing pretty darn quickly. And so that was really like my first sort of foray into the marketing side of the home services businesses. And I fell in love with it. Like I really,
did you do your own did you start doing your own marketing?
No, I did not. Because I didn't know anything. So I hired other companies. And so before that, I was in the bar, right? I was in the cigar bar business. And so very different. I never had to advertise that business ever. It was like, I don't want to say it was an instant success, but because I was already in that business, I built a large client.
Yeah. And people want to be there, and you build an audience of people that want to be there.
So I never spent a penny on advertising. Well, I never spent any significant money on advertising. And so, but now the problem with that was I also didn't know anything about advertising as a result, which is
sure. And you have to advertise HVAC to get,
yes, you do. Yeah. And so I didn't know anything. So I did have to hire other companies. And so like at the time, Lyle Horst, I think, Lyle Horst. Great dude, still around, still does great stuff. Really, really, really sharp guy. I like him a lot. So he's the one that we got started with way back then. I mean, probably 10 years ago, I think, or close to 10 years ago. And so that's how we started, and then we also, what we did a little differently at the time, which I'm sure by now it's not that uncommon, but we were one of the first companies that put everything online, so people could come right to our website and price out a full system replacement. And the price.
Did you use your own tool, or did you use Upfrog?
It was Upfrog before Upfrog was Upfrog.
Okay.
So I'm spacing the owner's name. He's gonna he's going to get upset when he hears this because I should know his name very well because
That's okay. You don't have to remember everything in the world.
But the owner of Upfrog was part of a different company at the time. He had a different business partner. And so that company was Upfrog before it even existed. And so, yes, it was Upfrog before it was called Upfrog.
So 10 years ago, you were doing online pricing for HVAC system replacements.
I'm not going to say 10 years ago, but let's say 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
That's fair. And it worked for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyone do you still recommend to businesses doing it?
More so than ever. Yes. People always ask me, like, because they always think it's such like a risky, scary thing. Like, oh my God, it goes against the basic rules of sales. You don't ever give the price before you provide value, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what? I get it. Yep. There's truth to that, but there's plenty of other things where the price comes before the value proposition.
Yeah.
You know the price of a car before you ever test drive it. So I mean, there's plenty of things where you know the price before you ever get to experience.
Yeah, this is where the old school meets the new school,
for sure.
And it's and people getting to place. People,
there you go.
Yeah, people are getting places faster now than they ever were. So like, people are making decisions in ways that they never did before. You know, like you would have a trusted advisor, or you would have, go back to the days of like, hey, I'm going to get, I'm going to do all my research because I'm going to talk to all these different people, and people, I think to an extent still do that. But now like things are happening so fast and people want things so fast. We live in such an instantaneous society that tools to help them to get there faster, I think are,
if you don't put your prices online, plenty of other companies will, period. And they will steal your business.
It's one of those things where like because you can call a company, be like, yeah, we don't quote over the phone. We like to come out to the house. So there's a hybrid there.
Okay, well, screw you, because I got 5 other companies I just found online that will. Have a good day.
Yeah. And I think, so then you try to have that conversation where it's like, hey, look, I could totally quote this for you over the phone right now. Here's the problem is like, I don't know what the inside of your house looks like. I have no idea if there's ducting to do. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. And so sometimes people go, you know what, that has a lot of merit. Why don't you come out here? And I agree to that. And so it depends on the type of customer that you are going to attract. So there are people who are old school. And I can tell you right now, my generation and older, who will listen to that and say, you know what, there's some merit to that. You're right. I'd like you to get eyes on this, and I'd like you to come out here and do this. Now,
I think you're right. However, that's a shrinking population.
I do agree with you there. And I think that even
the population that is growing is the population that actually wants to do all the research online without some pushy sales guy, or who they perceive to be a pushy sales guy, going into their home and hard selling them. They would rather just do the thing online. And the fact of the matter is, like I just said, if you're not going to put your prices online, cool, but someone else will, and they'll steal your business.
So what's your sort of, now that you've pivoted into actually running your own marketing company for home services, because you sold your HVAC business 4 or 5 years ago, right? 6 years ago. 4 years ago, right? You said 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, it was like right after COVID.
Okay, so like let's say 4 years ago.
Yeah, a little over.
So you sold your company. Question: did you sell to was it a strategic sale, like another business owner, or was it like a larger company?
It was a private equity backed strategic.
Really? Because the big guy out by you in Colorado is Fix It 24/7, right? Isn't that?
I don't know them.
Okay, they're really big. I mean, they're really big. I saw them. I was in Steamboat and I saw their commercials on TV. Yeah, they're like, we weren't even watching TV. It was just on in the background kind of thing. And I saw like 15 commercials come through for Fix It 24/7. Yeah. So you exited that, and then you were like, all right, what am I going to do? And you're passionate about marketing now, but you're specific about it, right?
There's a step in between. So when we saw that we were going to be exiting out of HVAC, I wanted to start transitioning into something pretty quickly. And I knew I wanted to stay in the home services space just because I really was enjoying it. And so I wanted to do something that I obviously was not the technician, right? I was not a service guy. I didn't know anything about that. And so I needed to do something that kind of played to my skill set better, which was sales, marketing, things like that. And solar was perfect because solar is really unique. Solar is a very, very different business model, unlike roofing, unlike HVAC, unlike flooring, window, anything else. It's very, very different. Solar is much more of like I don't want to say multi-level marketing, but I mean, I guess it kind of is, but
a lot of door knocking.
Well, a lot of door knocking, but it's more, what's the term I'm looking for here? Anyway, there are sales organizations which exist within solar, and I didn't even know what that term meant until I got into solar. I never heard the term sales org. It means nothing. It meant nothing to me. And I came to find out that there's literally bands of gangs, gangs. You could literally call them that. There's gangs of sales guys that team up together and will go sell projects and then just link up with a local solar installer, and they'll do the install work for you.
It's so like there's like a sales arm of it, and then they go and they get Sunrun, whoever it is. Yeah, like
whatever. Yeah. But in the world of HVAC or roofing, it's like everything is always insular. Everything is always within their own ecosystem, right? Like everything is in-house, right? There's your comfort advisor and your technicians, right? And everyone operates under one roof. That is not the case necessarily. It can be the case in solar, but usually it's not. Usually in solar, the install company is just the install company. They don't even they don't even have their own sales guys. They will go outsource to a sales organization who will then go out there and maybe go blitz. Like they'll fly into a new town.
Yep. I had an employee that did this thing. He would go into Utah and they would just go canvassing for 3 weeks. And they would just blitz an area.
They would go move into an Airbnb, and then just literally a big group of guys, usually younger guys, would just go walk around neighborhoods and just try to sell as many deals as possible in like a 2-week period. And it's called a blitz. And I had never heard of this thing before I got into solar. I mean, this was all completely new to me. And so but the problem that I found as a result of this is that all of these sales organizations, all these independent sales guys had no leads. Because it's not like working for an HVAC company where your boss has access to his pipeline of all of his old past clients who all need repair work done throughout the year. This is a built-in pipeline. It's easy, right? Not the case with solar. Solar is a one and done thing. That's what sucks about solar, and that's what's so great about HVAC. HVAC, you can sell someone stuff for the rest of their life. Solar, it's one and done. How many times? Maybe you can sell someone twice if they move a second time. Maybe. But that's it. So it's usually a one and done thing. So you don't get to touch that customer ever again. You got to go get a new one. How do you do that? And so door knocking. Door knocking is the primary source of lead generation for the solar community. And I knew nothing about that. I didn't come from that background, so I couldn't really speak to that intelligently in any way. And so I had to learn how to do it in other ways. So I started my own sales organization and vowed that anyone who worked with me in my sales org would never have to knock a door. I would provide, the whole thing would be done virtually. You could sell solar virtually from the comfort of your home, wherever you are in the world, didn't matter. And I would provide you with leads. So now it was on my shoulders to figure out how the hell to get these people leads. And so I was all the usual suspects, right? The Facebooks and YouTubes and all that kind of stuff. It was all the usual suspects of how to generate these leads, but it was a huge challenge. And so that was a really, really very interesting learning experience for me. It was pivoting from HVAC into solar, because HVAC was relatively easy when it came to the lead generation side of things, because of the fact that you could remarket to your existing client base, whereas in solar that just didn't exist. It was constantly finding a new person to sell to every single day. And it sounds like a really shitty business model, and it kind of is. Right? What kind of business? Why would you want to get into a business where you have to find a new customer every single day? And I agree, that doesn't sound like a great business model. But nonetheless, it's a hell of a learning experience, because if you can survive in solar, goddamn, it makes every other industry really simple, because now you're used to generating a new lead every single day just to put bread on your table. So that's how I got into the marketing game. And so I've always loved, the marketing side of things anyway. And so I started toying around with all the different, aspects of lead generation, whether it was running ads on all the usual channels, or whether it was more creative type approaches. But the thing that I found there was 2 things that worked undeniably well. The number one was door knocking, right? Undeniably, it works every single time, because you're capturing someone right at their door, right? Face to face, belly to belly. Pretty hard to slam a door in someone's face. People are generally not that rude. Most people actually are fairly polite. And so you have a really good opportunity to now talk to someone. And so it's undeniably a very effective strategy. It doesn't work for HVAC, I get it, but it works for roofing. It works for
solar. I know guys that are doing it in HVAC, by the
way.
I
bet they are. Yeah. So it works really, really well. And so then I started thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, well, how can I mimic the benefits of door knocking without actually door knocking? And that's when I realized, okay, well, cold calling is just the same thing. cold calling is door knocking, just digitally, right?
Sure.
And the huge benefit that you get is that when you run ads, like, okay, here's the big problem with ads, right? Like everyone wants to run ads because everyone wants an exclusive lead, right? No one wants the Angie's bullshit where they're sharing it with, 50 other guys. And I get it. That's awful. But but then you think, okay, well, let me just run my own Facebook ads. That'll solve the problem. No, because you run Facebook ads. And the first, what do you think Mark Zuckerberg does the second you click on an ad, he's going to serve up 20 other ads just like it.
Mm.
And with solar, especially with solar, but definitely with really any industry, forget what I just said. In any industry, everyone wants to get multiple quotes. And nowadays it's become so easy to get multiple quotes, and it's so easy to get them virtually now because some more businesses are taking their business online. It's really, really easy to get a quote sight unseen. So you don't need to necessarily limit it to just 3 quotes, because you don't necessarily need to worry about just 3 pushy guys coming to your house. You can get it all done remotely. You can get it done sight unseen. You can get it without even talking to a human necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
So why stop at 3? Why not get 5? Why not 10? I'm hearing about people now getting 10 to 15 quotes.
Yeah, that's been going on. That's been going on for a long time. That's like a specific type of person. But I get the
but it's becoming more common. I know this always existed. I'm not arguing that, but that's becoming more of a norm now.
I'm very much enjoying this this conversation, and I actually love where you're going with this, and I want to hear what you've employed, like the strategies that you've employed. I have a sponsor, and I just want to give sort of a little pause here. My sponsor is Cooper & Hunter HVAC system. They have VRF systems, VRVs, whatever you want to call them, ductless mini splits. They got a whole bunch of new stuff, by the way. And they made this really cool video. So we're gonna.
Cooper & Hunter's new peak unit runs efficiently up to 19 SEER 2. With BTU capacity that ranges between 18 to 55,000 for indoor and outdoor units. Compared to a traditional gas furnace, Peak's revolutionary design is ready to step in without a hassle, thanks to its adaptive multi-voltage. True high-performance hyper units provide a 100% heating output at negative 13 degrees. Looking inside the unit, the new M-coil is highly efficient and provides a better airflow that reflects in a higher static pressure. Our Smart Kit is included, giving you access to control your device from the comfort of your phone. Peak stands for powerful, efficient, auto voltage detection, and quiet. To learn more, visit our website or talk to your local distributor. Cooper & Hunter, addicted to comfort.
So a big shout out to Cooper & Hunter. I really appreciate you guys. Been the podcast sponsor now for several months, and I know they've seen some good results from the ads and everything else. So I appreciate the support. Also, they're the sponsor for the New York Yankees and the Florida Panthers. So, and they're on the Stanley Cup Finals. Isn't that crazy? So,
nice.
But yeah, so we were talking about you getting.
So I was saying that people want exclusive leads, right? No one wants to share their leads, and so they think, oh, let me just start running Facebook ads. That'll solve all my problems. And then I'm here to show you it actually just opens up just a whole new can of worms, because the second you click on one ad, Facebook now serves you up 20, 50 other ones just like it. And with the resistance being so low now to getting multiple quotes and getting them online, most homeowners just do that. So now, if anything, you actually just created an even bigger set of problems for yourself. So that's why door knocking is so incredibly effective. Now, and that's when I started thinking, I'm like, well, there's got to be a way to somewhat at least mimic door knocking. And that's when I was like, okay, well, cold calling does the same thing, right? We're just getting them on the phone. But the point is, we're getting them away from their computer, right? Like, that's the key. I need to catch you away from your computer so that pixels can't track your activity, right? If pixels can't track your activity, they can't serve you up a bunch of other ads. And now it's very likely I'm going to be one of the only people giving you a quote, or at least a reasonable number of quotes, 1, 2, maybe 3, right? Like, I'm okay with that, but not 10, 15, right? And so that's how I got into the call center space, slowly but surely. I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have any coaching. I didn't have, there was no Uncle Joe's.
This is so old school. Like, dude, I remember working for a cold call center, like way back in the day. Back in the day, we called it telemarketing. That's what we called it.
Sure.
We called it telemarketing. That's insane to me. I mean, we're going full. When I was in high school, I worked for, and even after, I worked for actually back when I was like early 20s, I worked for like legit boiler room,
Yeah.
which was fun.
Well, but to your point, man, a lot of what's old is now new again, right? Because like that's just the nature of that's how cycles work. Because everything gets exhausted or things just get destroyed, right? When too many other crowds flock to them, they become destroyed. And then we start realizing, oh, wait, we are actually doing it fine before. So that's why things like, traditional advertising is actually starting to make its way back now. So like you're seeing
walk me through. So you're getting some sort of targeted lists, right? And you're going after, and what you have live. I mean, now I know there's so many things with AI and like you can have digital call centers that like nobody's even there, and then the second I hear that, I'm like, goodbye. Like if it's not a human, I'm like, nope.
Yeah. Well, so first of all, okay, so two things about that. Number one, AI is to the point now where you can't tell.
You can't tell.
I promise you can't tell. It's already now. It's already to the point where you cannot tell. But number two, it's actually illegal. So FCC has completely banned AI cold outreach. So you can't use AI for cold outreach. So first point of contact,
good.
For good reason. For good reason, because it's like, could you imagine if that was allowed? Then, I mean, Pakistanis alone would just destroy our phone systems.
Yeah.
Your phone would be blowing off the hook with cheap Viagra offers right now. I mean, it would just debilitate your phone. It would be literally just ringing off the hook 24/7 with AI calls trying to sell you some sort of garbage. It would just debilitate our phones. And so naturally, FCC had to step in and prevent that from happening because it would just completely collapse the phone system. And so they did. And so it's heavily, heavily fined, and they're heavily policing it. And so I know of people that have been shut down and fined $15,000 to $50,000. They're aggressively policing it. So AI is not a threat. Not a threat to cold outreach. AI can only be used as a second point of contact. So you have to have.
So you can use a predictive dialer though, upload all the stuff into. Okay.
Yes.
So you have what? You have live call centers,
yes.
like, and how many calls get made, and are the contractors providing you with any of these lists, or are you just getting lists from
it can be both, but we don't rely on them. We don't never expect them to. We generally provide lists. So we're in the data acquisition space. So we've got all kinds of, pretty sophisticated ways to generate pretty high performing data for homeowners, even just from cold homeowner lists. It's all about filtration. It's all about filtering, right? So just having access to sophisticated data filtering software out there can really perform pretty great wonders. And so that's what we do, right? So that's what we specialize in, is in providing high quality data lists.
And how many companies do you currently represent?
Represent or have built?
So how many companies right now are you currently working with that you're doing telemarketing work for?
We active clients right now, we're probably maybe 20, something like that we're actively where they have us, managing with them, where we're kind of like operating as sort of account managers with them. But then we've built out other call centers where they kind of operate on their own and they don't have us do any sort of management work with them. And we've probably built not a crazy amount, but maybe like 40, 50 other call centers. I haven't been doing this.
So there's two pieces. There's two pieces to this. There's the hi, I'm Peter Roth, and we actually are the call center for you, and we outbound and everything else. And then there's hi, I'm Peter Roth, and I'll help you build your own call center.
And there's even a third one. Yeah. Yes. So yes to what you said. So yes, you can basically rent a call center, like you can rent ours and we'll just book appointments for you. So we do that for HVAC companies and roof and solar. So yes, if you just want us to do it all for you and just book appointments and just sell you the pre-booked appointments, cool. We'll do that for you. That's no problem. And that works great. That's a really great thing to do. We even run ads. I mean, if you're an HVAC company and you want to run ads for system change outs, we'll run ads for you. That's no problem. That's easy. Or if you want to build your own call center, that's our bread and butter. Building call centers is what I love. That's my bread and butter. So if you want to build a high performance call center, actually own the process yourself and become your own lead generation company, that's where I get excited, because like I want people to own the process. Like when I get guys who come to me, potential like prospects or potential clients who come to me and they're asking like, hey, should I just have you guys book appointments, or should I maybe look at building out my own call center? And then I'll ask them a few questions, try to figure out like kind of where they are in terms of their growth. And if they're, reasonably mature enough in their business, development, I'll always tell them like, dude, don't give me your money to book appointments for you. You're past that. Like, why would you pay me a profit? I got to make money too. So like, why would you pay me a profit? Just build your own damn call center. Because
walk down this line with me, because I've been obviously, so I've been around the block a couple times. Work for, let's say, work for a company. They have a CSR team. Okay.
Mhm.
What you're talking about is very different. You're talking about specifically in outbound lead generation, telemarketing. You're not talking about a full-blown call center, taking customer complaints and all this other stuff. You're just talking about outbound telemarketing. You're telling them, use this software, use this predictive dialer. This is how you set it up. Here's how many people you need. Here's how many leads per hour your guys should actually be booking over the phone. Okay.
What you're saying. Yep. We can do the CSR side. We can do a full build out that covers all sides of the business. Sure, I'm happy to do it for you. But our bread and butter, what we're known for, is the lead generation. That's what we're known for. So you could. I always say, I'm like, literally, my tagline is "Fire your lead gen company." Right? It's like
how successful. So how effective and successful has this been? Like, you don't have to give specific names of companies, but tell me, like, what's some success stories that you've seen implementing this strategy?
My favorite type of success story is when I get to watch a business owner transition and add on other businesses onto their existing one because they realize how powerful owning a call center is. So, for example, I'll find an HVAC company. I'll give you a couple examples. I'm working with a guy right now out of Tucson. And they are in HVAC and have been so for a long time. Very successful business. And we built a call center for them. And in getting to know the owner really well over the last maybe 6 months, we just spent a lot of time talking, as I do with all my clients. And he's just we're sharing stories, and he's asking about the businesses that I'm in, and telling him solar and stuff like that. Now, next thing you know, he started an entire solar division, and using the call center to generate leads for that. He's now, I don't know his exact sales because he hasn't shared those numbers with me, but I know that it's growing because I can see from my side of things, I can see how much more data he's buying on a regular basis, hiring more people and stuff like that. So do you mind
sharing like some high level KPIs? Like how many booked appointments should a call center generate per rep on the phone per hour?
Not per hour. That would be zero. That would be. It also depends on the business. So it depends on your business. Solar is the most difficult out of the home typical, the big name, home services businesses. Solar is the most difficult. HVAC is much easier. Roofing is quite easy as well. I think a typical agent should be booking for it, and it depends what you're pushing in HVAC, right? If you're just pushing tune-ups versus pushing system replacements, tune-ups are easy. Tune-ups, even an average quality agent could be booking 5, 6, 7 tune-ups in a day. That's pretty reasonable. A well-trained one with good quality data in a reasonably performing market. System replacements, 1 to 2, maybe even 3 booked appointments per day is quite reasonable. So really good numbers. I mean, we're talking per agent, and these are agents that are making $6 to $7 an hour.
Here's the controversial. Yeah. So that's what I was going to say. So I think I already have my answer. So these are not onshore call centers.
99% of my focus is Latin America. It's the best bang for the buck. I won't hire from anywhere else. So we have a full recruiting arm in my company, and we only focus on Latin America. The vast majority come from Mexico. That's the largest workforce that's coming out of Latin America. But there is other straggling, other countries, Guatemala, Nicaragua, some of the South American countries. But by far, Mexico's number one. It's the best bang for the buck. Number one, best bang for the buck. Mexico's a little bit higher. They're $7 to $8 an hour, just depending on skill level. But what you get is incredible language comprehension. So 10 out of 10 language comprehension. In terms of fluency and comprehension, I use those terms interchangeably. And then in terms of accents, maximum of 2 out of 10. So very low to no accent. And even if they do have a little accent, for my own personal call center, I don't even care if they have a little accent because Americans don't care. 1 out of 5 Americans is Latino. So we don't even hear the accent. It's in one ear and we don't even notice.
Yeah. It's interesting. I guess it depends on what services you are trying because there are companies that advertise like all domestic support, like all of our support is domestic. But see, there's a difference, I guess, between lead generation, getting in the door, and then support after the fact.
Sure.
Those are two very, very different tasks.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. And so, Mexico is fantastic. And then the other big thing that you get in Mexico that you really can't recreate in any other country is just that close cultural connection. So many Mexicans have been deported. And so a lot of the people that we end up hiring have been deported, not even for any sinister reason. They've just been, it's all over the news. And so they've been deported. And so that the telemarketing community there is huge, absolutely huge. And they know that it's an easy job for them to get where they can actually make really good money. Having lived here in the US and having, perfect fluency.
Was that hard? Was that a difficult process to do, go to Mexico, set up the center?
No, everything is virtual. Everything is virtual.
Really?
Yeah. I don't do anything in person. Everything is virtual. And all the call centers that we set up for people, everyone's working from home.
No way.
The costs are so many. That's what I'm saying. It's not as expensive as people think.
Sure.
I talk to people all the time. I'm not trying to take everyone's money. That's really not my thing. I'm here to build relationships. If you want to pay me, great. You don't, let's just be friends. I'm totally cool with that. That's fine. But I show people how to build call centers all the time. I don't even charge anything for it. I'll tell you right now. We'll talk about it for 10 minutes. I can walk you through the steps of how to build a call center, and it won't charge you guys a thing. Obviously everything is hard. Nothing's as easy as it as it's made out to be. There's always,
if somebody's willing to give away all the sorts of free information and say, this is my bread and butter and this is how I make money, and then give it away for free, it means that it's probably a little more complex.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I am willing to give it away for free because I know you're still going to have a hell of a hard time trying to.
I have a buddy actually who he's been on an episode, and he owns a coaching and training company, very specific with home services, specifically more for HVAC and plumbing. And he's built manuals, literal operating manuals with SOPs, full SOPs. And he has given away, and I'll give him a shout out, actually. His name's Devin Murphy. And he Reignite Sales. And he gives away his operating manual. Just gives it away.
Mm-hmm.
And he does fantastically because people don't know how to implement it.
No,
he can give it away all he wants. It's like, hey man, we'd really like you to come here and help us actually implement this book that you've written. So,
and for any successful business, it's like, do I even have the time to sit here and try to reverse engineer?
No, I just hire smart people like Peter Roth.
Why don't I just give you a few $1,000 and you can just do it for me? And I'll be
it's funny you say that, because they took, so we had a call center. So I spent 6.5 years on and off with ARS. And we had a call center in Houston, and the call center is still there, but they started doing a lot of their outbound stuff, exactly what you're talking about. And they did pretty much exactly what you're talking about. And they put a lot of data together, and they had said that they didn't think that they missed a beat. They thought that the booked appointments were actually right on par. Everything was on par. So it was interesting. It was interesting. I will say that sometimes there were communication issues. It wasn't often, but there were communication issues where somebody actually wanted a service call, but they booked a sales call, or somebody wanted a sales call and they booked a service call, and then it went in, and then it was a mix up, and then so they sent the wrong guy, and so that can be time consuming. And look, that could happen no matter where the call center is. It doesn't make a difference. You could have the most fluent speaking English person in the world, and you'd mess up. You'd put service instead of sales. But listen, you're always going to get comments from the peanut gallery, no matter what you do. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, man.
So very cool, man. I really enjoyed this conversation. Obviously there's a whole lot that people can learn on how to do this. So how can people reach you? Where do they go? Tell me what, I'll put it up here on the screen real quick.
Sure. If you just want to reach out to me just to say hi, I'll just give you my, I use a CRM phone number, so you can just text me, call me or text me there. My direct number is 303-709-2090. And you're welcome to just text me there if you want some more information. I'm on Facebook all the time. So Facebook's the easiest one. It's just facebook.com/official Peter Roth. And then I'll just send you here. Do you want me to just send you my links right here? I think I sent them to you.
Is it the official Peter Roth or official Peter Roth?
Yeah, I'll drop it in the chat right here.
Yeah, I'm already in the middle of typing it out.
There it is. I just dropped it for you.
There
Except
you
it
go.
put weird spaces everywhere.
It sure did.
Here, I'll do it one by one. So
It's all good. I got it right here.
Okay.
Boom.
And then my website is solar branded right now, so don't be too confused just because it's all solar branded. We're actually launching an entirely new company that isn't solar branded. It's called Scalify Call Centers. That'll be launched probably by the end of next week, actually. And that's what we're going to be taking that on a whole, like, was it Pony Road show? I'm probably butchering that term, but you know what I'm trying to say. We're going to be taking that all over the place. We're going to be doing some roofing trade shows real soon. We'll be doing Wind the Storm. We'll be doing roof.
Oh, Wind the Storm was super cool. I went one year actually.
Oh, cool. Yep.
I met Jimmy Johnson. It was he's fantastic. On that note, interestingly enough, Jimmy Johnson, the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys who won Super Bowls, right? The guy's such a winner, right? Listen to this. So he would show up, cool story. He would show up to the office and he would be the first person in the door. And he'd hired like a bunch of assistant coaches, right? And he was the first guy in the door. He'd get there at like 6 a.m. and no one else was there. And then like other people would like trickle in. Well, he noticed that there was one of these assistant coaches, and that assistant coach was getting in right like maybe like 5:55. And you noticed when he got there that the other assistant coach was there in the morning. So Jimmy's like, I'm not going to have somebody come earlier than me. So he starts showing up at 5:45. And then a couple of weeks later, this assistant coach is like, he gets in the office and the guy's there at like 5:30. And he's like, what the hell is going on here? So he gets in like, 5:20, something like that, gets in the morning, notices that the assistant coach is there before him again. And he goes up to the assistant coach. He's like, hey, man, listen to me. I'm the first one here in the office. Do you understand me? Stop coming in earlier than me.
Yep. Well, so we should leave off on some controversy. So what are your thoughts on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
Oh, man. You want to
You've
talk
got family in Israel. I've got family, right? You said you have family in Israel. And I have
no, not for a very, very, very long time.
Okay.
It's been a really long time. But yeah, it's sad. It's just I have friends that have been in the IDF. I have the whole thing is wild. It's bonkers. And like a long time ago, somebody really important to me actually said, they were like, it's like there was really nothing there, like in the area, like the whole area. And if you think about it, and I don't think people realize that, like, really it's the United States of Israel. Like it's like a built up technological powerhouse of a country. It's not like a small little, like, it's a real crazy operating country with millions and millions of people. So it's like, you try to put people to imagine, like, yeah, there's crazy humanitarian issues. Like if that were to happen anywhere here, like, let's just say, I don't know, New Mexico decided to like invade, Colorado, and like they came over and they started like killing babies and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's just crazy, and then people will say, well, the response is too much. And so I don't like to get ultra too like what is it, political on this. It's not really the forum for it. I mean, I'm sure I can get a whole lot of hate and love and all that kind of stuff from that. But I hope it just comes to an end. And there's honestly, I know it's unrealistic, but like at some point in time, can everybody just sit down at the table and just say, like, this is what the agreement's going to be. Can we all just agree on it? You go live peacefully here. You go live peacefully here. Let's just cohabitate. I mean, but I don't see it. I don't see it.
Everett, cheers to you, my friend. Thank you so much for having me on your show, man. I really do appreciate it.
Appreciate it, brother. All right. Very, very cool. Okay, guys. I have some really cool guests coming up on the show. I will, I'll start like, teasing them out or whatever. But I'm really looking forward actually to this. You kind of inspired me with the Gene Slade and Joe Crisera thing. So if you guys have any thoughts on that, that would actually be kind of funny. But very, very cool, man. Hey, I appreciate you, dude. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope a lot of people, listen to this and reach out to you. I think you're a really, really smart guy. You got a lot going on there. And I love what you're doing. I really do.
Thank you.
So very, very cool. Thanks to Cooper and Hunter. And I will see you guys next week.